I've got 6 secrets for you today. They're not really secrets, but they kind of feel like secrets sometimes because these are not things we typically talk about. They're not even things that seem fertility related, but I promise you they are. I see these fairly often, and especially number 6, the last one, is, I would say, the most important. So don't stop this episode early. I want you to listen all the way through because I'm going to preach a little bit in the best way and hopefully breathe some new life over your fertility journey and really help you see things a little more clearly so that you can move forward and get knocked up, because that's what we want. We want you to get knocked up. So let's dive into these 6 things that don't seem fertility related but definitely are. Hey friend, welcome to the Fruitful Fertility Podcast. Do you want to better understand your body so you can get pregnant naturally? Do you find yourself up late at night Googling how to ovulate on your own or natural fertility tips? Do you feel lost on what your next step should be? Hey, I'm Tori, a registered nurse, Christian fertility coach, and your new TTC BFF. When I started my fertility practice, I realized how much the modern medical system was missing when it came to supporting women trying to get pregnant. I knew God had called me to this space to bridge that gap and provide more natural fertility support and education. With time and a little trial and error, I found a foundational way to assess infertility cases and get better results. In this podcast, you will finally understand how your body and fertility work, support to stay off that emotional roller coaster, and a proven strategy to improve ovulation and increase your fertility naturally. If you're ready to get started, drop those ovulation sticks and grab a pen because, girl, you look fertile to me. As we step into this episode that is titled 6 Things That Don't Seem Fertility Related But Are, I want you to go ahead and in your mind kind of have a guess. I want you to have 2 or 3 guesses in your mind of what you think I'm going to say, because these might be total surprises and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. Or the more you dive into your fertility journey, the more you may be like, oh yeah, I could kind of see that. I see it coming. These are 6 things that I typically see, I wouldn't say a lot, but most often in anyone that I've worked with, male, female, couple. These are things that are affecting your fertility that are not discussed at the doctor's office, that you won't find on Google, that you won't hear about in fertility communities, but they are, in fact, influencing your fertility, and so they cannot be missed. And they're actually things that a lot of my courses and programs address and give you steps to overcome. So do you have your 2 or 3 guesses in your head? Have them handy because we're about to go into them. So the first one, which if you have listened to this podcast is not a surprise, but the very first one is your job. So we grow up, we become adults, unfortunately. Wish we could stay kids, right? But we become adults and we get a job and we spend the majority of our time at that job. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, usually really more like 7 to 6, right? This is what gets the most of our energy and our time and effort. So I want you to think what a critical role that plays in your health in general and your fertility. So even last week we were talking about the 80-20 rule, right? That 80% of the time, what you do 80% of the time matters more than what you do 20% of the time. And our job is that 80%. So it's very important. If we are working a job that we absolutely hate, it's soul-sucking, we're unhappy every time we step in the door, the smell of the building puts you in a bad mood. Has anybody been there? When I was a brand new nurse, I was so overwhelmed by working acute care. I hated the 12-hour shifts because I knew I'd really be there for 15. And it was so busy and so hectic. And I was new and I didn't like being new and not knowing all the things. And I vividly remember walking in the doors of the hospital and just that hospital smell hitting me. And instantly my day was bad. Like instantly I was stressed out because I was like, okay, I'm here for the next 15 hours. Just winging it as a new nurse. And I just feel like I'll never forget that it was very stressful. So you may feel that way about your job. Maybe you work with people who annoy the crap out of you or don't respect your boundaries and things like that. So I want you to think about the effect your job has on you. Now, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you're working a job you love with people you love, and your job is something that really fills your cup. I hope that's the case. But if it's not, and you're like me and you're walking through the doors and that smell's hitting your nose and you're dreading the rest of the day, it's time to rethink it. And that doesn't always mean that you have to completely quit your job. Sometimes when I talk with clients about this, it's like, how can we restructure your job? Can you work in a different department? Can you take a promotion? Can you take a step down? What can you draw some healthy boundaries around your time frame? Can you ask your boss for more time off? Like, how can you get creative to make your job a joyful place? Because again, it's taking up a large chunk of your time. And so we cannot be in a situation where every day our body's going into fight or flight and our cortisol is through the roof just because we're walking through the doors of work. You may also have a job that you absolutely love, but it's just a high-stress job. For example, I've worked with a nurse practitioner before. She works in the emergency room, loves her job, but working in an emergency room is pretty high stress, right? So sometimes it's just taking those nervous system regulation tools in with you to your job, making sure that you're taking 10 minutes to take some deep breaths. You're taking 10 minutes to go for a walk around outside to get some sun on your skin. So it may, even if your job is a high stress job and you love it, there are ways to combat it. So a little activity I want you to do is you go home, make a pros and cons list of your job. And if the cons are bigger than the pros, maybe it's time to get creative. Do a little brainstorming and find out if you need a new position, if you need a new workplace, if you need a whole different job altogether. Number 2 is your relationship with your husband. Do you feel safe? Do you feel heard? Do you feel like you're on the same page? The fertility journey can really put some bumps and some hardships in your marriage, right? Maybe you come together, maybe you butt heads. The thing that I see the most often is that the husband and wife are on two different pages. Maybe the wife, most often, the wife wants to do all the things. She's ready to get the HTMA. She's ready to do the hair test. She's ready to do Mercier therapy. She's ready to do IUI. She's ready to do IVF. And the husband's not always on the same page. Husbands tend to have a more laid back and like, oh, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But regardless of who's on what side, are you on the same page? Do you feel like you're on the same team, or do you feel like you're working against each other? This is really important. And do you feel safe? Is your relationship a safe place? Is he your best friend? And if the answer to some of these questions are no, I feel a little unheard, I feel unseen, we're butting heads, just take some time to work on that with your husband. Maybe that's with a therapist or a counselor, and maybe it's just having some hard conversations at your dinner table. One thing that me and my husband are trying to incorporate that makes our weeks flow better so that we're not irritated with each other, and he can remember the things that I tell him is going on because I'm the calendar queen. I'm in charge of the schedules, is we kind of have what we're quoting a family meeting once a week, where on Sundays I'm like, here, I'm going to go over my calendar with you. You go over your calendar with me. Let's talk about what's important to accomplish this week together. And this is something that's just super simple, right? This is not rocket science. This isn't anything crazy, but it does help our weeks go by better, and it helps us feel like we're on the same team. So while you're brainstorming the job stuff, I also want you to brainstorm in your relationship. Are we on the same team, or are we not on the same team? And what can we do to get on the same team? Number 3 is the state of your home. This could go hand in hand with your husband, and are you on the same team and everything's okay? But one thing I see is the state of your home. So like we talk about our job is where we're spending a big chunk of our time and energy. Also your home. So I want you to think like very literally, I guess, very physically about your home is the words I'm looking for. Like, is it cluttered? Because clutter can actually be a stressor in your life that you don't actually realize is a stressor. For example, one thing I do for myself is I try to keep my countertops clean. Like, I don't keep anything on my countertops. I don't have to, because subconsciously when I walk in the door and there's stuff all over my counters, I'm instantly triggered. I'm instantly stressed out. I'm instantly in fight or flight. Even I can recognize that in myself now, but maybe I didn't before. So I want you to think about the state of your home. Do you need to declutter? Do you need to rearrange? Even something as simple as like, do you need new bath towels? I know this sounds so funny, but this is something that's been on my list lately is new bath towels, because we've had the same ones for a while. They're a little worn out, a little rough. So when I get out of the bath or I'm out of the shower and I wrap my towel around me, I'm like, almost every single time I'm like, we need new bath towels. And these little things are stressors. So it seems so silly, but what can you do in your home to make it feel cozier, warmer, a less stressful place? Do you need to get with your husband and divvy up chores? Do we need to put somebody in charge of trash, somebody in charge of dishes so that those things are always done? Or what is your trigger inside your home? So this one's not super common or like something that I hear people say, but I have worked with couples where there was like a little division of the housework, and even ones that were like, I always feel like my house is messy, but I just don't feel like cleaning when I get home from work. So this may take, again, brainstorming. Maybe I should have called this episode brainstorming through things that don't seem fertility related. But just kind of take an inventory of your home and say, okay, am I stressed out when I come home because of the laundry on the bed? Am I stressed out because there's too many things on the counter? Or maybe this is not an issue for you. Maybe like, nope, my home is nice and tidy. It's beautiful. Looks like Joanna Gaines decorated it and we're good to go. But just think about it. That's the state of your home. Number 4, this is a very, very, very important one that, again, if you've been with me for any length of time, you probably know this one. But if you're just getting here, welcome. If you're just starting your fertility journey, you may not have heard this one, but it is your blood sugars. Your blood sugars are very important to your hormone health. If we are looking at the hierarchy of hormones, so the importance of hormones, you cannot start with your estrogen and your progesterone. We want to, because we're looking at fertility things, we're looking at reproductive hormones, but we can't start there. We have to get to the root cause. And usually the root cause is too much cortisol and wonky blood sugars. Wonky is a very technical term. But blood sugars that fluctuate too much, they're running too high or too low, or they're bouncing back and forth. When we eat for balanced blood sugars, so protein, fat, and fiber, every meal, hitting that protein goal, going for walks after meals, these kinds of things, this really helps regulate our blood sugars on a foundational level. So while you may think blood sugars don't apply to me, I'm not a diabetic, girl, if you're trying to get pregnant and you're trying to balance those hormones, it absolutely does apply to you. So on paper, it may not seem fertility related, but it is actually the foundation of your hormones and your fertility. So blood sugars. The next one kind of goes hand in hand with this, and it is your digestion. So I do hair mineral testing, and in this hair mineral testing, we're looking at literally single minerals in your hair, and we're looking at something called significant ratios. And these significant ratios, which is 2 minerals and how they work together, it tells me certain things. Like your calcium to phosphorus ratio tells me a little bit about your nervous system, things like that. So a lot of times on these tests, the thing that stands out to me is your digestion. And when I supplement, I'm giving people a personalized supplement protocol, there's usually something for digestion in there. Because it's not always that your nutrition needs a different spin, or you need different food or a different diet or anything like that. It's just that you need to be able to absorb the minerals and the food you're eating. You need to be able to break it down. Your body's not getting what it needs because you can't digest it properly. So we would put digestion in this gut health category. And so for some, that may seem like it's unrelated. Like, what does digestion have to do with me ovulating and getting pregnant? But I promise it does. Digestion is very important, and it's something that I address with all my HTMA clients pretty much. And last but most certainly not least, if not the most important one in this whole list, and I saved it for last because I really want to put some emphasis on it and I want you to hear it and take it with you when you go today, and that is your belief about your ability to get pregnant. Henry Ford has this quote, you've probably heard it. It says, "Whether you believe you can or can't, you're right. Whether you believe you can or you can't, either way, You are right. What you believe about your body and your ability to get pregnant is so crucial to what is physically happening in your body. So I want you to think, as we talk about the nervous system all the time, right? We're always coming back to the nervous system and helping your body feel safe and give it the nutrients and the nourishment that it needs to do what it's made to do. And so when we have these negative thoughts, I'll never get pregnant, my body's broken, things like that are replaying in your mind, this signals to our body, hey, danger, danger, which puts our body in fight or flight, right? Which increases your cortisol, blah, 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 all the things we talk about. So while it seems like this is not a way to say, just think happy thoughts and it'll happen, it's a way of saying we really do have to feed our body positive thoughts, because whether positive or negative, they're feeding the systems in our body. It's feeding our nervous system one way or the other. And I know, as someone listening to this who's been trying to get pregnant for forever, and you've looked at 100 negative pregnancy tests and you're like, well, how in the world am I supposed to believe in my body and my ability to get pregnant when it has not happened and I have done all the things? And if I'm being totally honest, my answer might be, I don't know. I don't know, girl, but we got to do it. But truly, my answer would be, it takes practice. It takes sitting with the Lord, reading his word, talking to him, believing in what he has told you he will do. So actually recently I had a question. Someone DM'd me the question of, I had to pull it up so I could actually read the words because it was such a good question. She said, Tori, honest question for you. I just saw your recent post on Facebook about affirming a future pregnancy to rewire our thinking surrounding conception. My question is this: what if this isn't within God's will for some wives? Yes, God can do absolutely anything, as he relates to Mary in Luke 1:37, but he does not promise all women this gift even if they desire it. I was hoping to hear your heart behind this mindset. Ooh, and that was such a good question, and I wanted to answer it on here because as I sit here and say, you have to believe in your ability to get pregnant, your ability to believe that you can get pregnant will come from what God speaks over you. So my answer to her was that I believe that God has called me to this space to be an encourager. I've had many conversations with God about, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And I feel that he has spoken over me many times that I'm here because I am a good encourager. And that is one thing that is missing from the typical fertility world. In the fertility clinic, in the OB offices, it just seems to be a negative situation. People leave without answers. People leave feeling dismissed and overlooked and confused, and given this, these negative diagnoses of like, well, there's 11% chance that you'll get pregnant naturally. It's just negative and sterile and statistics. And so I truly believe that God has brought me to this space to not be that, to be the encourager, to give you some sound medical and health advice or education. This is not medical advice, this is education. But to bring a more positive spin and to help you believe more in his power and not your own. And so my answer to her was that God brought me here to be an encourager, and also that this is something you have to talk to God about. I can't promise you a pregnancy. I can promise you that if God has called you to be a mother, that it will absolutely happen. And the way that God calls you to be a mother will be different to each person, and that is something you have to discern with God yourself. And I wish that there was like a really fancy formula for figuring that out, but all you can do is pray and ask. You have to pray, ask, and be ready and open to receive what answer he gives you. Because if you're here, I believe that it is because you're going to get pregnant. You've got to believe that you're going to be pregnant. You've got to believe that God is going to fulfill that for you. But that is up to you to talk to God about it. God may lead you towards adoption. He may lead you towards being a missionary. He may lead you towards something else. But you've got to talk to him about it. And the more you talk to him about it and ask questions, Lord, help me believe. Lord, help confirm this for me. Lord, what direction should I go? The more you lean into him, the more he's going to talk to you and show you, and you will feel so much more sure of yourself. Because again, as an example, I have felt so strange that I've been called to this fertility space as someone who hasn't struggled with this personally. I have fears around it. I have, doubts around it, but I continue to talk to the Lord about it, to bring it to Him in prayer. And He continues to confirm it to me through things that are spoken to me over people. The emails you guys send me, the reviews you leave on the podcast, there are things that have been said to me that let me know that God is using the people around me to speak to me. There's been echoes. It is just, I've been looking for the signs. I've been looking for God to speak, and I have seen them. So I want to encourage you to talk to God about it. Not just praying, Lord, help me get pregnant, but talking to Him about it. Lord, what would you have me do? Have you called me to be a mother? How have you called me to be a mother? And if He confirms for you that it's pregnancy and that's how it's going, then girl, we got to believe that it's going to happen. We got to take doubt off the table, jump both feet in, and know that God is going to do anything He says He's going to do. It's easy to doubt and have a negative mindset when we are relying on ourselves, on our understanding, on what we can make happen, on what the doctor said. But when you believe in God and His sovereignty and His goodness, it changes your mindset. And scientifically, it's been proven that when you think you can do something, you are more likely to do that thing. So it's a very simple concept, much easier said than done, I know, but I want you to pray about it this week. So let's recap these really quick because we're doing some brainstorming. We're doing some talking to God. Number 1, things that don't seem fertility related but are. Your job. Brainstorm if your job has more pros and cons, if you can adjust your work situation, or if you need a new job altogether. Your relationship with your husband. Do you feel safe? Do you feel loved? Do you feel like you're on the same team? More often than not, everyone has good husbands that they feel loved by, but we're just not on the same track of what we're going to do fertility-wise, so maybe it's time to revisit that conversation. The state of your home. Is your home cluttered? Is it messy? Do you need to do something? Do you need to paint a wall? What is it that you need to do inside your home to help your subconscious brain feel safer and healthier? Your blood sugars. We have to eat for optimal blood sugars because this is the foundation of healthy hormones and hormone balance. You can't skip to progesterone and estrogen. You got to start with cortisol and blood sugars. Next is your digestion. Can you absorb the minerals you're eating so that your body can use those minerals the way it needs to? And last, and most importantly, you have to believe in your body's ability to get pregnant. You have to believe what God has spoken over you. If you don't know what He has spoken over you, it's time to talk to Him about it. Keep a journal. Say your prayers. Keep a journal of anything that's spoken to you, anything you hear, any songs that come up that you're like, oh my gosh, that speaks right to my heart. Do some journaling, make some notes, and see what God wants to speak over your life and promise you for your future. If you want more information on what is affecting your fertility and what you can do about it, I invite you to join my free masterclass on how to improve your fertility. There's a link below. You'll tell me where to send it. You'll type in your name, your email. I'll send you the link to the video. It's about a 30-minute video. Walks you through what's affecting your fertility, how to understand it, and a 4-step framework to improve it naturally. So grab that. Again, it's totally free. And other than that, I will see you next week. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode touched your heart or taught you something, I'd be honored if you share it with a friend who could use the information too. And if you want to be the real MVP, then would you also take 30 seconds to tap those 5 stars at the bottom and leave a written review telling me what you're loving? It lights me up to know this podcast is really helping you. Don't forget, you're super cute and super fertile, so meet me back here next week and let's keep chatting and learning together.